All right. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night to you, whenever it is you tune in. Hope everything is going well for you. So, well, he just turned his camera off, so I'm going to be help him out with that. There we go. Just going to put the name for you there. As a special guest to the this way. Get better at pointing.
Good
How's it going?
afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Jarvis here, chilling with my boy Noah as usual, and of course Rip. Um, so I'm excited to see what we're gonna talk about tonight.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good segue. I'm RIPCLIFF, obviously. Um, I'm looking forward to discussing week two tonight. Um, a little plug here. Probably do it at the end of the stream. Friday, I know if anyone's in the Discord, they know that I've been getting a film breakdown together. Tomorrow, it will be released. Like, I'm going to work really hard tonight and finish it and get it out there for you guys.
Yeah, so link to his channel is going to be in the description. So we're going to be broadcasting this on both of my channel and his channel too. So Dirty Bird Confessional, DBC in parentheses for short. That's how you can find him. And then, well, with me, you're probably already here because I got the bigger following. But just letting you know that hey, both channel links to both our channels are going to be in the description. So
Yeah, thanks Noah for that. Like I said, I'm just trying to get that done for you guys because, like I said, it's very important to me. Like just on a cathartic level, I guess you say, to get this on film because all the hot takes that I've been seeing, like in Twitter, is just like driving me mad. And I'm just like having to tell people like that is not true. Like that, like if it was true, I'd tell you, but it's just not.
so anyways. Thanks for everyone tuning in. We got Bubba Gump. We got D Coleman. Yeah, I am starting to notice that a little bit more. Jarvis was always like, hey, every once in a while, let me just like get up and then just start doing a little house tour.
Hey man, you gotta
He
stretch
was
them
sitting
legs,
down before
man.
we started the stream. But he was sitting
Hey,
down just fine.
you gotta
I'm
stretch them
sorry.
legs.
Yeah,
I
I got to.
I kind of understand. I work on at a desk all day, so it's kind of like sometimes you just gotta get up and do
That's
some
my
stuff.
job as well. I'm in the military. I got a desk job now, so I like to get up and stretch my legs.
Yeah, well, D Coleman's noticing the subtle flex you got, though. All right, so we are here to discuss Falcons, Rams, week two. We ain't got none of that week one crap anymore because I'm sure that both fan bases want to get that out of their system. Uh, we lost one way, they lost another type of way. Both of us did not look all that very special in the fourth and the second half in particular. So, how do we go about stopping each other? Well, we're going to speak from our side of things, and we're going to talk a lot at the specific matchups that we have. And we can either go position versus position, or we can go like, hey, like their wide receiver versus our cornerback. However, we want to go about this is what we will be doing. And as you might notice, we will be streaming around the same time that we have the other stream on AFN, 30 for Thursday. So we're not gonna have this too long, but we do have some other people that will be joining in that should have started with us, but we digress. So Rip, what do you want to start off with first as far as the comparisons?
I mean, we can start really with anything. I do want to just say like a lot of this is gonna come down to us as individually as a team, making adjustments because I think that the biggest thing with what happened last Sunday was we beat ourselves. We made key mistakes at critical moments that cost us the game, and we got to really clean that up uh, going in to the game. So yeah, we could really start with anything. Are we just gonna go by position, just kind of to go like how we feel about that?
So I think if I'm going to start this off, the first thing that I want to get to is our coaching slash play calling,
Okay,
because I
yeah,
know that you've had a heavy emphasis on that in the last like couple of days.
for
So
sure.
you might
Yeah,
know a lot about that. So let's get into that. And before we start, a comment says neutralize Robinson and Akers. Well, the Rams already did that for us, so um,
touche,
I should
touche.
know because I had Allen Robinson in fantasy, and he gave me 1.7 fantasy points on the day.
Yeah, they did not have a
Um,
good week last week. So we're
Akers had zero. So.
but see the thing is they got a head start on us and they're gonna be looking to get not go down 0-2. So we gotta come in ready, for sure. Um, Now as far as coaching goes, these are very similar teams in a lot of aspects, especially offensively. They run basically the same base scheme, which now we're doing a lot more like read option and stuff. I like the variations that Arthur Smith is putting in with having Mariota at his disposal. But we'll definitely see a lot of, especially the things that we did when we had Matt Ryan, from the Rams. We're going to see a lot of zone run, a lot of motion to get people out in space. Sean McVay is very good at doing what I'm going to be talking about in the film uh, room with Arthur, and he basically sees the field uh, as you're trying to get receivers in specific areas of the field to stress the defense and create space, like natural space. And basically, what they do is they drop route concepts that play off each other to the point where the defense, no matter what they choose, is basically wrong. So like if you go, like say they have like a cross coming over the middle of the field, but they also have like a deep post. Uh, they kind of level their routes. So like they might have like a deep post, and then they'll have like a little over route, and then they might have like a little like a running back like leak out of the backfield. Because what happens is you stretch the defense, and no matter what they go to cover, they have to basically cover it perfectly and be perfect on all their assignments, or there's going to be somebody that's open in space, and even then, you know, you're still going to have that issue. Um, like I said, I would love to illustrate it, and I'm going to, but it'll make more sense after I release the film. But,
Yeah, what you got to say, Jarvis?
So enforcing coaching wise, I want to talk about Dean Pease. Y'all remember when the Rams and a couple years ago they had Wade Phillips. That's who Dean Pease remind me of. Not so much scheme wise, but that old ball coach who comes in and who put a lot of stress on offenses. And I think in this game that's coming up, that's what you're going to see. And everybody got this misconception of, well, Matthew Stafford is not a mobile quarterback, so we can get to him a lot easier than we did Jameis. I don't think Pease is going to be so more focused on that. I think he's going to be more focused on disguising when it comes to this game. Trying to confuse Matthew Stafford mentally, not so much physically, but mentally. Where may the pressure come from? He may show pressure and don't bring any pressure at all, causing Matt Stafford to make some off kilter decisions. So I think and during this game and the way last game ended, be have watch out for Dean Pease and how he sets his defense up to be successful.
Yeah, we got a 6-man. K Styles in here. We must be doing something right. Got his attention. Uh,
He still ain't
moving
came to
on.
Warner Robins yet. He still ain't came to Warner
and
Robins.
we're kind of familiar with their, aren't they? Don't they have Raheem Morris as their defensive coordinator in either?
They
If
do,
so,
They do.
yeah.
and
So we're pretty familiar. Like, I mean, obviously he's not going to run exactly what he ran in Atlanta. Everyone's going to
Hmm.
be different. Just like Dean Pease isn't going to run exactly what he ran Sunday. Like he's going to
Hmm.
mix it up because now you got that on film. And see, here's what both these teams do pretty well is they put things on film, but like the way their formations are and the way like both Arthur and Dean do this. Like the way they set their defense and offense up is they give you a lot of similar looks, but do different things out of them. So like,
Mm-hmm.
they play off each other. Like so, they might give you a look one week, right? And they might give you that same look, but they're gonna do something completely different out
Mm-hmm.
of that look. That if you try to defend what they did on film, you're gonna expose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
that and there's so much motion and like you this whole game on the offenses for both teams, you're gonna see motions and movements and people going one direction and that direction all game long. Both teams do it a lot. Like and it's to get basically what you want to do with these schemes is you want the linebackers or the defensive backs to take one or two steps out of direction,
Mm-hmm.
out of position, and then you've got them beat. You got someone coming in behind them. Because the thing is, like, people might be fast laterally, but a lot of people aren't. They can't flip their hips and get back. And even if they can, if they are, they're going against elite athletes and they got to turn and recover, they're already beat, right? So that's going to be the key to this game is who can do that more, who can capitalize on that more in this game. And I think that as far as coaching goes, I would say we're pretty even. Now, Raheem Morris is no Dean Pease, though. So that we do have an advantage there. But we don't have Aaron Donald on our team either. We do have Grady Jarrett, who's
Mm-hmm.
really good, but he ain't Aaron Donald, So,
Well, I mean, if we're talking about like a physical comparisons, Aaron Donald has been on that Rams team for a while, and I know that their run defenses have not been all that great.
yeah, no,
Garbage.
they definitely, yeah, that is definitely, see, that is why I think we match up well. And it's not even like a coaching thing. It's like what we do matches up well against them. Like we are going to be like all of our stuff is predicated on the run. Everything we do, our pass game is completely predicated on the run. And the more successful your run game is, the better your entire offense is going to run. Now, I'm not saying like if they shut down our run, we don't have anything, but I don't think that I don't think the Rams are going to be able to defend, even if they know what we're doing to them. They're not going to be able to defend that running attack that we have.
Yeah, because we ran the ball 38 times.
And
Mm-hmm.
just a shout out real quick, the offensive line. I know we lost Sunday, but that offensive line performance, I have never seen a Falcons offensive line play that well.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it. Mariota didn't get pressured hardly. They were blocking up the run so well. Like Patterson just had to find the hole. That's all he had to do. It was there. Last year we saw, like, what I try to tell people is last year we saw a team that was outmatched in a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
Key games, Dallas and New England. We looked like we didn't even belong on the same field. This year is different. Like we have a team that can play that, and I know we don't know how good the Saints are going to be throughout the year, but they're still an NFL pro football team, and they had a really good defensive line in the past, and they have basically the same guys, and they have the same defensive coordinator. So, and like what I saw on film, like was a offensive line that was very in sync with one another, right? And that's what you want. They were working together. Everybody on that line was doing their job, right? So, I really have to give them props because I was not expecting that good of a performance from our offensive line.
If I could say something, the caveat and make this real quick,
Hmm?
I think Jalen Ramsey is in trouble, and I'm tell you why I think he's in trouble. Okay. Um, if you saw Sunday, and I don't want to keep going back into Sunday because that game is over, but if you saw Sunday how Drake London was catching the ball and his after the catch physicality, um, That is a load to deal with. I seen Drake London truck somebody when their helmet came off. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to be in trouble. I'll just
His
put it like
route
that.
running, his route running was, oh my god. Anyone complaining about his knee, anyone that his knee is fine.
Hmm.
Because like if you saw how he ran routes that game, he has no problem with that knee.
Yeah, Rip on our Discord was like, yeah, they took him out in the Lions game. It was because like, yeah, we don't need to play him. Like
That
we know he's good.
that dude could have scraped his knee on the ground, needed a band aid. They'd be like, yeah, we're just gonna put some Neosporin on that. You're done. Like, you know, like why do we need to play you in the preseason? No.
Yeah. Jay, how's it going?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing? Sorry I'm late, man. I had an urgent family meeting, man. So I
Oh,
just
That's
got
all
okay.
good.
that.
All good. Welcome, man.
So we just
What I
started.
miss?
Well, we had our conversations. We were talking about the play calling, talking about the coaching situations, the similarities and the differences. We think that there might be more similarities than people might realize. And then we might have some sort of an advantage with the defensive coordinator because Dean Pease has 50 years of coaching experience. Who'd have thought that that would give you an advantage? But yeah, and then now we're just kind of moving into
And Super
offensive line,
Bowls.
trench plays, uh, just dabbled into wide receivers a little bit. But I want to talk about this quote from or this comment from D. Coleman. He's like, "Hey, I don't see why we couldn't just attack them the same way Buffalo did. You know, like, hey, if Mariota slides in that one play on the 3rd and 5 when he realizes that he has the first down, like that game was done. All right, and we had more mistakes
Right.
before that. We had more mistakes after that, but there was points and times that we can look back to and say like,
Yeah.
hey, like we had the game won there. Right? It's a bit
Yeah.
painful. All right, Jay would know that more than a lot of people recently, but
But it's
Hmm.
also a good thing that it's like, okay, I can fix, like if I can fix me, like we can get this rolling. Like it wasn't. I mean, the Saints played well in that fourth quarter. Like we got to give them props too. Like they played well. Oh, that was one thing. Dean Pease, the thing that we were talking before the Discord. Dean Pease had said that they were basically not. They didn't really do any adjustments or anything in the fourth or give us anything different. I disagreed with that. They did. They definitely did like some more unconventional blocking assignments
Hmm.
to account for the fact that Dean Pease was preying on what normal block like. And I'll show it in the film, but like he basically he knows, and it's pretty simple to break down kind of what the blocking assignments for each player is. And
Hmm.
DP's way he sends his blitzes is he plays off of that. So basically, the way you have to block it up a lot of times is you have to go unconventional in your blocking assignments. You have to make
Hmm.
minor adjustments. And I you know, like I said, I keep bringing out the film, but it's just I have so many things to say and don't have enough time for me to really dive into it. So, um, but yeah, that's a big thing, uh, you know, that we're gonna see Sunday.
so Jay, since you just got here, do you want to get something off your chest? Do you want to like pick a
Yeah, I
position
got
to
a
kind of
few
compare?
things. I do have a few things I want to get off my chest. I don't
Figure.
know if y'all are tired of talking about Sunday, but I do just want to give a couple nuggets. I was there at the game, and I'm not going to be honest. In my opinion, the turnovers did hurt. I don't necessarily disagree with the call to punt the ball right there. I'm gonna be honest. I know a lot of people disagree with that. I don't necessarily disagree with that. They had no timeouts. It's under a minute left, and we pretty much pent them. In my in my opinion, and even with all the fumbles we had, I felt like we still was controlling the game and still was managing the game is a better term. I think
Yeah,
the game was manageable. And once Casey Hayward gave that up, it was out of our hands after that. That's
right.
really why
And
I look at him as to where, yeah, it's not only his fault, but that's when the game became unmanageable to me. That's when we
Hmm.
couldn't manage it anymore.
right.
And
Real
you,
quickly
you
to
can
your
go
point,
ahead, Cliff. Go
that
ahead.
was yeah, that was a part. I'm not meaning to interrupt you. I just wanted to kind of play off your point. Like that punting on 4th and 1, that was the correct call.
Hmm.
Regardless of what happened, and I have seen that We're like, well, if you're a professional football team and you can't get 4th and 1, then but we had 3rd and 1 and we botched the snap, and
Exactly.
that's why we got the
Exactly.
4th and 1. So if we don't convert on that, they're already almost in field goal range. They just got to get one play. Whereas if you punt it with them having no timeouts and like under a minute, like you would hope that your defense, like obviously we didn't execute,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, that's still the correct call. Like if we played
Yep.
today knowing what we know, like you would still punt because you would like if that happens next week, we better punt. Or this week.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
I see it as like Arthur wants confidence in his full team,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and if he doesn't feel like he can't stop them with his defense, then that's not going to speak good on his communications with the MPs. You know, it's like they're trying to be on the same page, and it's like, hey, well, I can trust him to stop it, right? Why can't I trust him? It's like, well, we'll take a look at the other 3 guys and stuff like that. It was like, well, he's still making his adjustments, and if it wasn't for just like them just not doing what was necessary on the field, you know, like what Jay was alluding to, it's like I think that Casey was trying to look for something, or he must have like underestimated Jarvis Landry's speed or something, because he was literally jogging to a spot, and then before he knew it, the ball got there quicker than he was expecting.
And I also do want to say too, I'm not gonna put everything on KC either, because Mariota botching that snap played a big part as well. I think those were the 2 biggest plays. Even the play in the red zone when he fumbled, I didn't necessarily, of course, that hurt hindsight, but at the time they didn't even score after that possession. So I feel like it was kind of no harm, no foul. I think the 2 biggest plays of the game, in my opinion, was Mariota botching the snap, and then Casey Hayward letting Jarvis Landry go for a 40-yard game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of little mistakes that culminated in big mistakes. Like, and I'll go over this later. But Patterson, right, had a tremendous game, crazy game. But there was a play. I don't know. I can't remember just off the top of my head if it was the second to last drive or the last drive. I think it was the second to last drive that we had offensively. And it was like a 3rd down and like 2 or something like that. And we give it to Patterson, right? And Patterson made the wrong read as far as which way he should have cut. Like I can see what he did, and I'll explain. But basically, the D line was leveraged a certain way that if he tried to do what he did, they were leveraged to stop that, right? Because when you're talking about your defensive line, the defensive line in zone when they're defending zone runs is they flow with they slant one way, either the left or the right, and then they leverage to the offensive line that direction and just flow with them. Right? They're not like attacking; they're being gap sound, and so if they were flowing the other way, what Patterson would have worked, because what he saw was Demario Davis took a couple of steps in the wrong direction, and he was going to cut back behind it. But the issue was the line was slanting, so the play was going to the left. The linemen were slanting to the right, and they were flowing. So whenever he cut, he ran right into the teeth of the defense, because the D line had leverage on that way. Whereas if he would have just kept running to the left, there was blockers. He had blockers in front of him, and he would have had numbers and would have been able to get up. But like I said, that's split-second decisions. So that happened, just like with Hayward. I'm still reviewing that play to see exactly what happened. But yeah, like it was just a lot of little mistakes that we made that culminated in what happened.
Yeah. Shout out to Larry's mom. Just got in here. Apparently, her top left of the screen can only work for her or something, because we got some other folks in here as well. I mean, none of them are currently showing the camera, but there we go.
Hey, Larry's mom.
Ooh. Well, fool she is, but whatever though. All right, so now we got the stench, we got the bad taste out of our mouth. All right, moving on. We're closer to Sunday this Sunday than we are the last one. So, and obviously we had, 7 days ago we were able to watch the Bills and Rams game. Now D Coleman kind of stressed upon it, but what do you think the Bills did to the Rams defense specifically that we can kind of replicate a little bit? Because I know that there's some things that we can like straight up rip from their playbook, but there's also some other like stitches that Arthur Smith can include in there as well. So we want to start off with that.
Um, they forced the OG. When I say OG, they forced what's the Wagner, the linebacker, into a lot of coverage. If you look at the game they did for the Bills game, they put him in a lot of coverage. Now he's not the Wagner of old. Don't get me wrong, he's not a scrub either on the field, but his
No.
his cover skills are not what they used to be. So they put him in a lot of predicament. Sometimes they would run a pattern in his location and run a running back out the backfield to kill that void where he was. So if you put him in unpredictable situations, um, or a predicament, um, you can get some wins out of this out of the play calling. Um, and I also noticed that, and Rip, I don't know if you've seen it for the Rams either, but if you notice when Aaron Donald lined up on the Bills, like let's say he's over the nose guard and he just shades a little to the right onto the nose the onto the guard's shoulder. What they were doing was, okay, you're gonna shade that way, we're gonna run this way. So instead of running the way he just shaded, just run the opposite way. And
Mm-hmm.
so those are keys that I was picking up on every time Aaron Donald would shade, they would run the opposite way.
I mean, I can certainly see how we can do the same thing because although there was one example where we were trying to shade a run towards Cam Jordan, he really didn't do anything about it. So what that kind of shows us is that we're starting to see more confidence in our offensive line. There, Jarvis
Hmm.
goes again with his house tour. Uh,
I'm sorry.
Um,
Uh,
but to the point of Aaron Donald, like Aaron Donald's obviously going to be a factor in this game. Like you can't necessarily stop him entirely. But I did like what I saw from our offensive line. They were very good at playing complementary to one another and playing off one another. Like the Cordell Patterson run in the end zone. That was some of the best O line work I've seen as far as comboing. I mean, they Adalman and I think it Wilkinson comboed the D tackle and just took him like 2 yards off the line. And see, Aaron Donald, as great as he is and as strong as he is, he's still an undersized defensive tackle. Like, if you can get good leverage on him, good luck doing that consistently. But if you can get good leverage on him, you can push him a little bit. That's why he struggles in the run game sometimes. And sometimes he does his job, right? So, like, if he breaks through the line, but we're running a zone run scheme, right? If Patterson can just go into another hole if there's not contained there, then, you know, uh, he's not going to be able to make the play. We see that with Grady Jarrett all the time. We didn't see that this week, but in last year, Grady Jarrett would beat his block, but he's out of the play because nobody else does their job. So
yeah, to go back to Bobby Wagner real quick, I was still seeing him like biting on play action hard. That
oh yeah,
first play action that they did to Gabe Davis for the first touchdown, he was like had only eyes on the running back the entire
right.
time.
And if he does
And what
that with
we like to
us,
do is a bunch of play action. So
yeah, like I like how we match up to their defense, just because we're gonna be showing them a lot of motion. We're gonna be getting our basically our pass game is the extension of our run game.
mhm.
So like we're gonna neutralize Donald in this way a little bit. So like we're doing play action, right? So with the way that I was just talking about the D line, they don't attack, right? When you're run blocking, you don't come downhill in a zone scheme because then you're going to get out of position. The running back's going to have an outlet to get out. So when you are run defending, you are flowing with the linemen. Well, what they do is with our play action is the linemen start that blocking, right? So they get locked in and the D line is flowing. Well, then whenever Mariota pulls that ball and he's passing, then they kick into the pass rush. But we've already slowed down the pass rush because of they're not pinning their ears back and rushing right away. So that will neutralize that pass rush a little bit. Obviously, Donald is Aaron Donald, so he's just gonna do some things that are unconventional, but that's gonna help a little bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna head over to hear about Jay's opinion, and the shoddy connection was going on. Well, Nick Coleman's here, so he says, I think we're going to benefit from having a quarterback that can improvise. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Allen wasn't rushing and designing quarterback runs. He made something happen when the plays broke down. I mean, I can certainly say that for ours. Like, we didn't really have any design runs either. But especially when you have a quarterback that knows, like, hey, I'm a threat as well, really pays off. There was a couple of things. If we want to switch over to them on offense, us on defense a little bit. Again, the biggest storyline was that the Bills weren't even blitzing, and they sacked Matt Stafford like 7 times.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can contribute that to Matt Stafford also, like Jarvis was saying, like getting a little bit too confused when it comes to the coverage that he was seeing. There was times where it's like he was holding onto the ball a little bit longer than what was necessary. I think possibly waiting for the play to develop. Maybe he was like, maybe Sean McVay wasn't putting the right person on the right type of route in order for them to get open faster, or whatever the case may be. But there were situations where he was kind of his own problem there.
And I don't mean to dominate the stream, but this is a key thing. That offensive line being as inexperienced with one another as they are, Dean Pease is gonna take advantage of that. Like, I'm not, and it's going to be different than what we saw. Well, it's going to be similar, but it's going to be different than what we saw Sunday, because there's going to be a lot more times where we still do what we're doing as far as it's called an amoeba front, basically. Basically, you have all your guys, you have a lot of guys coming in and out of the box and down towards the line, and then you drop different guys, and maybe you only rush 4, but because of you've confused the blocking assignments, you get a guy running free. We did that a lot Sunday. We're going to do that even more this week, I think. But we're going to drop more guys than we did last week, because there was a couple times where we rushed everybody, and you have to do that to keep them honest, right? You have to have that threat. The Grant sack was actually us having that front and bringing everybody, and Grant came in unblocked and took Winston down. But yeah, so I think that we're going to take full advantage of that, and it's going to help our secondary, because they're not going to have to spend as much time in coverage. They just have to cut off the initial outlets, and then you're good.
Yeah, and speaking of Richie Grant, like if you go back to that DP's press conference, that he was kind of dominating the entire interview there, because we saw. I don't have the tweet pulled up, but there was like several different positions where Richie Grant was placed on the field, all across the board. Like,
he was the star.
Obviously, he saved 2 positions, but he was like every type of corner and basically every type of linebacker position as well. And so, yeah, they like him in that role.
Position. He played
exactly.
the star position. I said he was a star, but I really mean like the position is called a star, is what it's called. So,
right. I was a little bit skeptical about like his ability to do that like right away, because that was what Isaiah Oliver was mostly known for doing. But I mean, he looked right at home, and that was why like Dean Pease is was trying to kind of baby him a little bit in the last season. So it's like, hey, like we have Eric Harris here. We have at the time Deron Harmon, but Dean Marlowe is like a slight upgrade between him, and they're going to be their mentors for him. They're going to help him see, hey, here's what this front will look like. This is what we can do here. Communication got a lot better. So again, we're seeing all these building blocks here, and it's just week one. People think that we're already like in mid-season form, as the memes say, but there's a lot to build off of, right? We lost, but there was a lot more to build off of than what the Rams had to show. You know, it's like all they had basically was, you know, Cooper Kupp that was working for them offensively. They didn't have the run game. They didn't have a whole lot of help on their offensive line because a lot of them didn't look prepared for the job. Despite them only sending like 4 people every now and then. One of them, yeah, it was Aaron Donald, Von Miller. It was like Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, you know, Ed Oliver was there. They have a stout defensive line, but I thought the Aints was supposed to have a top offensive line too. So what happened, right? I thought that we weren't going to be the one to blitz anymore, right? Because that's not what we were. But then Dean Pease told us that we were blitzing, or like we were presenting pressure 51% of the time. Like, times are changing, people.
Yeah, and Arthur Smith said something during the week that I really stuck to.
Speaking of change,
we're focusing the media and a lot of Falcons fans are focusing in on the outcome. The coaches are focusing in on the whole game, the game as a whole. What we did right, what we did wrong, what mistakes we made. Because whether we would have won or lost that game, the outcome doesn't really dictate the issues. Right, so even if we'd have won that game, he said if Koo had hit a last second field goal and we win that game, we still have the same issues and things that we got to work out throughout the week than losing it. So the win loss doesn't change how they're gonna approach the week, as far as that goes, because the evaluation would still be the same. So,
but as Rip and Noah, I'm gonna tell you something. So I think Noah was talking about this with K Styles and Mad Mike about a week or so ago, or no, matter of fact, after the game, the next day after the game, everybody hollering about, well, who's gonna stop Alvin Kamara? Who's gonna stop Alvin Kamara? And you see nothing, and Alvin Kamara did nothing. I seen Richard Grant on Alvin Kamara a couple times and just shut him down, just shut him completely down. So everybody was jumping on this bandwagon of, well, where's Deion Jones? We need Deion Jones to shut Alvin Kamara down. As you see, that's not necessarily true because Alvin Kamara did nothing.
It was all about a committee. Speaking of committee, apparently Jay did a tag team with Trey, so now he's here.
What's going on, girl?
I know you're kind of cutting in now a little bit, just to let you know. Kind of.
Hey, what's going on, Trey?
What's going on?
So, kind of get a little recap to anyone else that's recently tuned in, or if you're Trey. What we talked about earlier was the coaching similarities, differences, advantages, disadvantages that we have. We talked about the trenches. We talked about a little bit about wide receivers, other kind of thing was. A little bit about linebacker play, specifically Wagner. It's like, hey, how can you manipulate that? I guess we didn't really touch a whole lot about the run game for the Rams, and because there wasn't one, so we just got done with talking about Alvin Kamara. You want to talk about someone that really disappointed? We'll take a look at Cam Akers. So, yeah, we have some building blocks for both sides of the ball. But Trey, do you have anything you want to get off your chest? You want to have anything that you want to talk about specifically? Where you want to go?
Not really. It was one thing I did want to talk about though. This Rams D line, I know everybody's saying, especially around Monday, I think it was, or like right after the game Sunday, they were saying, the Rams D line is going to destroy us because their frustrations from what happened Thursday, and for some reason, I don't know. I don't know where that came from. It's like, okay, if they're mad that they're lost, why when we come into Sunday mad if we lost too? I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. Plus, it seems like if this is a big if this O line continues to go up as we've been seeing, and if they can run the ball like they did Sunday, and then they can protect Marcus like they did Sunday, or at least half of what they did Sunday, I don't see how we can't win this game. Um, I mean, I think we're gonna win it either way, just because of how I think the adjustments that I mean not Marcus, but Arthur Smith and Dean are gonna make team wise is just something that I think that Sean McVay and that Rams team is really ready for. And for me, I think for this Rams team, I think this is a trap game for us because one, like you said, you're at home, defending Super Bowl champions. You're trying to not start the season off 0-2, but then you're also saying, okay, we're going up against a team that one just lost last week and two didn't even make the playoffs last year. So I feel like this could be a trap game for the Rams if they don't play fully hard, as I should say. But like I said, I think it's really is a bounce back week for Art and especially D.
Yeah, you don't really consider trap games to be this early in the season, but it really does feel like that because there was a lot of teams that like they probably went into their week one matchups and like, hey, yeah, we got this. Like we're pretty confident in ourselves on it. Oh dear God, what just happened? We lost to this team. Like a couple of examples across the board. So yeah, a lot of teams are not going to be looking as confident as they once were. So it's just all about us speaking as fans, especially. It's like, hey, what we got to do is just control our emotions and not ride the roller coaster that is the NFL season. There's going to be ebbs, there's going to be flows, there's going to be highs and lows, and all sorts of things in between that. But there is that constant where we need to kind of reside in. It's like it's never going to be as good as it feels. It's never going to be as bad as it looks either. So having that sort of balance within us makes us a lot better as a group, as a community, and as a team too, knowing that before they go into every game. It's like, hey, short memory, we learn our mistakes in the film room, we're going to come back in here, and we're going to go back to know what we did at the first start, which was dominate. Punch him in the mouth.
Week 1 is weird.
Make him feel our presence.
Week 1 is weird for every team. Like,
okay.
I mean, do you really think the Packers are not going to be a good team because they got dominated by Minnesota? Do you think the Titans are not going to be a good team because they got beat by the Giants? Do you think the football Giants are going to be good this year because they beat the Titans? Like,
do you realize the Seahawks are leading the NFC West?
Yes, this is a true statement.
Yeah,
this is
the
a true
Seahawks.
statement.
Yeah, the Seahawks are in the lead. Do we really think that Geno Smith led Seahawks are gonna, win the division ultimately? They might. They might. But
do we really think the Colts are gonna tie every single game?
Yeah, like they tied with the Texans, dude. Like what?
Listen. Week one was what they call the week of the new coaches. Okay, let the first year coaches have their victory, and all the big boys about to start coming out and playing in week 2.
Yeah, and now with the tie, 48% of the league lost last week, right? It's usually 50, but because of the tie, you kind of not, but so they, everybody's in the same boat basically. There's nobody that separated themselves yet. Yeah, we got a long ways to go. There's gonna be teams that lost Sunday that are gonna be great teams. There's gonna be teams that won Sunday that are gonna be horrible teams.
That's right.
So, we got to take away what we can from that game and move on. And I think there's plenty that we can take away. positively.
You can almost see the Vikings won the NFC Championship game. I don't know where this came from, but ooh. I personally had to move on 8-9, but I mean that coaching staff that they have, it did get rid of a lot of what Zimmer was putting there. So there could be some truth to that. I don't mind being wrong if it's the Vikings. If it was like certain other teams, and like I would definitely have a problem with that. Well, since we're on like a general week one kind of session here, was there any team that you thought like looked like how they would normally look throughout the season?
For me, I probably have to go with the Bills, probably, just because I kind of have high expectations for them. I think the Chiefs too, but if it was one certain team, I probably say the Bills, just because I think they'll probably have the best offense in the league this year. Defensive wise, I think they did well in that second half. I think they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. Now, we also do have to remember that Matthew Stafford is dealing with this chronic elbow injury that's like limiting his throwing a lot from what it looks like. So that may be a concern, even like not even just for last week, but for the rest of the season. So that may have had something to do with it. But yeah, it have to be the Bills for me.
Well, Trey,
Jarvis?
well, um, week 2 is gonna like I said, I went on with the defense a little earlier. Week 2, I think you're gonna be able to see a lot of Arnold Ebiketie. Okay, that left tackle over there for the Rams is a notebook or note something like that.
Oh, Joseph Noteboom, yep.
Yes. Okay. I think Dean Pease is gonna really utilize that to his advantage with that quick defensive end, sort of like what Von Miller did coming in. I'm not saying that Ebiketie is Von Miller. Do not get me wrong. Okay, but I noticed that notebook.
I'm saying Ebiketie is Justin Houston.
What was that now? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I understand that Ebiketie is Justin Houston.
Hey, your like connection is like, yeah, you're frozen basically.
Oh, it's about Noah.
Yeah.
No, it's you're like frozen and you sound like a robot.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to start.
But
Yeah.
while he's fixing that, I was
But
gonna bring up that you brought up the left tackle. But if anyone noticed, there was a lot of plays where Grady Jarrett was rushing from defensive end, and he
yes,
was
he
doing
was.
a really good job about it. So
He
I would
was.
not be surprised to see. I would almost anticipate to see that some Sunday. Um,
Also with your boy Rip, what's his name? Taquan Graham. This will be a good game for
yeah,
him.
yeah. He had. I actually go over one of his plays in the film. He had a good game too. Like everyone on the defense, like you can take something away from. Like I don't think there was really any player that was on our defense that I could say like definitively like they were played poorly. Like they played pretty well. Like they made mistakes.
Hmm.
Nobody's perfect, but like as a whole, like our defense played really well that game.
But Trey and Rip, let me ask you this question here: do y'all think that Dean Pease got a little pretty? We didn't play a prevent defense. I don't know where people keep getting that from. I don't see a prevent, but I think that Dean Pease got a little pretty because he still kept up the pressure and so forth. But there was a lot of cover too. Do you see that in the football game yourself?
Um, you talking about Dean Pease playing cover too,
Yes,
or
playing coverage because that play with what's his name Casey Hayward with Jarvis Landry going down the sideline when he made that catch,
mm,
that 45-yard catch. I believe that was the cover too. I believe because I say that because somebody such as Casey Hayward 10 years, 11 years in the league wouldn't have made that mistake if he was in man, just to sit on a route because he thought a player was going to be sitting down in a
Yeah,
certain route. I
I'll
think it
have
was a
to.
cover two.
Yeah, I'm still recording some of the clips, so I haven't gotten to that play yet,
Hmm.
fully. So I don't want to like give too much on that, because I don't know. I'm still deciding on that. What went wrong? I'm definitely gonna cover it. But I did see a lot of cover three that we did, as
Yes.
well.
Hmm.
And it really, I mean, the big thing with our corners and our defensive backs, right? Where they
Hmm.
messed up in the fourth was there was a like so basically, like I'll give it an example here. AJ Terrell getting beat by Michael Thomas on that, not the touchdown, not one of the touchdowns, but the deep play that he gave, like the first big deep play he gave up.
Oh yes, when he
Yeah,
got stuck in traffic. Uh-huh.
yeah. So what they did there, we were in man coverage on that play,
Hmm.
right? And I don't remember who was the other defensive back. I think it might have been Alford, D. Alford. I'm not
It was
sure.
the offer. Hmm.
Yeah, and what the Saints did, because we were in man, they ran like
A
a
rub route.
cross a rub route.
Hmm.
And what you want to do with that, if you're in man, is you want to do a man switch.
Yeah, communicate.
Yeah, you want to
Communicate. Hmm.
communicate. So Alford should have taken Thomas and I think it was Jarvis. I think it might have been Jarvis Landry. I don't know who the other receiver was, but Terrell should have switched and took him, but they
Hmm.
didn't. And then so it created a natural rub, which all you need in the NFL is just a little bit of separation and you're beat.
Oh
Um,
yes, for sure.
so um, so yeah, that's what I saw there. Like, and that was for the most part, that's what it was. It was just minor mistakes that we made in either coverage or when we were rushing late in the game that made all the difference. Like I'll bring up, there was a 2 point conversion, right? That they got, the one that they got, the little out route they ran.
Yes.
Hawkins lines up to the inside. He's got inside leverage, right?
Yes.
He should have had outside leverage to make that play work. Because if
Hmm.
you look, all the space was over the outside. All of our defense was
The inside.
in the inside. If he's on the outside shoulder, that guy can't cut through. Like if he doesn't out route, if he goes out, uh, Hawkins has the leverage on the play, and he's able to make a play. But because he was on the inside shoulder, he leaves all that space open.
Roger.
And
Noah just said we have to end it soon.
Yeah, how
okay,
do I sound now?
you sound good.
Okay, because I had to switch to my phone.
Yes.
Okay, no, you're good. You're good. We've just been kind of discussing some few points, but I know we're stuck on last week's game a lot. But basically, the reason that we do that is because all we've got to do really is fix us. That's what we have to focus on. Like the opponent is abstract, right? If we don't fix our issues, then we're not going to win. But if we do,
Yes.
then we have a good shot to win. So that's why we keep going back to the Saints. But as far as the Rams, they're going to be a good, tough opponent. They kind of like, I think we match up well with them. They're a good team, but I think like ultimately we match up well with them across the board. And it's going to be a good game Sunday. And I think we're going to win. Like, that's my prediction. I'm sure that we. And Jarvis drops, but. Go ahead, Noah.
So, yeah, it's right there. So, yeah, like I said, if we're going to end this show right now, hit the description for Rip's new channel, Dirty Bird Confessional, where he's going to have his whole like hour-long kind of film breakdown there. He's been working really hard on. So, yeah, we're probably going to have a little bit more of that as soon as the All-22 starts getting a little bit more consistent with how they, like when they
release it.
drop their All-22 films for.
Yeah, because they would have been out a long time ago if they would have released it when they were supposed to.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have a lot to look forward to. I'm actually editing another video for me too. It's another series in the head coach series. So basically, I had to speed run this entire thing. I had like 8 hours of footage in order to condense it down to about maybe just under an hour. And it was all of the preseason games and like all the training camp that I had to like sit through and everything. So I'm trying to get all that kind of edited out. I'm trying to make it a little bit faster. So I should probably be finishing that soon. It was like a 2-month gap, but you'll see like why it took so long in order to have everything. By the way, if you ever wanted to see a weird team that that you just like don't know the answer for, stay tuned because I somehow went 1-1-2 in the preseason. I don't know what my team is anymore. So figure out
Wow.
all that kind of stuff. And yeah, got a Sunday, another week of football to look forward to.
All right, go Falcons.
Go
Yep.
Falcons.
All right, take care,
All
y'all.
right, all right.